Hello, everybody. How are you? And welcome to Spiritually Raw. And as always, we hope you woke to the most miracle morning and are also having the most fortunate day today. So this miracle phenomena called ASEA continues. And more people that are here to be able to help us on our journey in life, that continues also. So wow, is the universe knocking on your door? You're feeling it? So anyway, if you haven't already, links will be in the description below. But our featured guests today, Debbie Wetzler and Beth Wofford, are going to be talking about their experience, why they're really such advocates of this, helping us again on our journey called life, and really making sure that we get the best use of this. This is real technology, it's real stuff that's happening, which has been such a game changer. They're going to do a much better job explaining it than we will, but it's been such a game changer really about what's happening in people's lives. But thanks for hanging out with us as you always do, everybody. All the links will be in the description below, where you'll find how to connect with Beth and also Debbie, okay, so you can follow what's going on in their journey. So what else?
If you would please just take a quick little moment from wherever you're watching this show, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and we would greatly appreciate it if you would also share the show as well. So let me give our beautiful guests a proper introduction. First up, we have Debbie Wetzler. She's an ASEA Ambassador Diamond Executive. And you basically have been an entrepreneur all your life. She owned an interior decorating business and stepped down for her interior design business in 2007 to start a children's website. But in 2008, the business went bankrupt, and she was literally left with no money. And at that time, no one was hiring. She also had received a foreclosure notice on her home. She did some research on ASEA and started sharing the information in her 20 minutes a day. And it saved her home, and she went into the business full time in 16 months. Yeah, that is extraordinary. Make sure to check out Debbie, and her link will also be in the show description. And you can check out her Facebook page, which is under Debbie Wetzler. Next up, we have Beth Wofford and her husband, Bill. They've been training thoroughbred racehorses on their farm in Lexington, Kentucky for over 40 years. She affectionately refers to what she does as teaching equine preschool. When she began her career in wellness in 2001, it was a perfect fit, as she was also looking for a new purpose in life to be of service to people and horses.
Wow, welcome both of you. Thank you again for your service and your much love to you both on that. So,
and real quick too, the description, the link will be in the description below. Make sure to check out Beth at ASEA Healthy Pets, and that's a Facebook page, correct? Yeah,
correct.
We'll have all the links in the description. Thank you.
All right, so Beth, I'm going to start with you if I can. Okay, so we have your buddy staring over there on your fence behind you. So that's your gig, right? That's your thing. You've been attracted to that, the horses, and you're also part of this ASEA, because we've been talking a lot. We've been talking over the last several months. Having Dr. David on and Danielle and all that, really getting it out for people. Okay, but there's another level of this. We haven't really touched a lot on, what it can do for the animals. Was that your attraction initially to it, or what it could do for animals, or was it for you a human experience first?
No, it was totally human related. I had no concept. I found ASEA 12 and a half years ago. So I was very blessed to have found it very early on. I was introduced by a doctor friend of mine who called me and said, "This is the biggest thing I've ever seen in my whole life." And we've been kind of trading, wellness tips for years and years. And I'd never heard him say that. He said, "Beth, this is the biggest thing I've ever seen in my medical career." And I said, "You're kidding." So I said, I'm on board. I want this. And I started drinking it, not expecting anything except that it was going to keep me younger longer. My husband and I, ride racehorses for a living, so we wanted to keep doing that. And we're now getting into our later years. And I love the idea of just staying younger longer. But I started using it, and I got a personal product experience that blew me away. And I had I was like the opposite of placebo effect. I just said, no, I'm not, this isn't going to help fix anything. It's just going to make me live long. And it really, really shocked me. At that point, because I had found ASEA so early, I was kind of the first animal professional that had signed up as an associate. we got back in those days, Debbie, you remember, we were a small group, you know, we were, that was when it was kind of intimate, and we knew all the corporate leaders personally, and they've become very dear friends of ours. And they started saying, you know, this is all living cells work the same way. It works on every living species and every living cell the same way. And so it's perfectly safe and non-toxic for any kind of species. And I thought, hey, that kind of opened the gates for me. And I started giving it to everybody that walked, everything on, you know, cats, dogs, horses, everything, just to say, hey, let's see what happens. And back then, that's what we were doing. We didn't have,
You were,
yeah, go
you
ahead.
were you were the forerunner of the ASEA in animals.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
There was
really
a,
cool.
Cool.
yeah, there were and I started a monthly call back then, and back again, this was 12 or 13 years ago, and it was, we could record it, but only for one month. It was a conference call. We would record it for 1 month, and then the new recording would overtake it. And so for about 7 years, I did that every month, just people telling their stories, just chatting. And of course, then technology got better and better, as we're experiencing today. And I changed over to a webinar. So we had a webinar, and we were able to archive those so for the next couple of years, we archived all. And so now there's a library. So I don't do it monthly anymore, because there's a really lovely archive of webinars of people just telling their animal stories, their ASEA animal stories. So that's really worked very well. Having said that, you know, I'm a triple diamond in ASEA, and I love
that is awesome
with everyone. Yeah, and we still are in the horse business. I still train every single morning, but I honestly believe that when the best way to share is to share with people who then say, oh, I need this for my animals. So I don't target people, you know, with horse people or anything like that. I just say, look, anything that all living cells work the same way. Oh, I'm feeling so much better. Great. You know, that cat of yours that has a problem, give it to her, see what happens. You know, so it really has taken on a life of its own, and it's wonderful. I just love seeing it because, you know,
thank you. Yes. What was you said you had an amazing personal experience. What was your personal experience with it?
Well, I considered myself 100% healthy. I thought I had no problems, but in the year 2000, 22 years ago, I had a total hysterectomy. It was before I got into wellness. And my doctor said, hey, you don't need this anymore. You're finished having kids. And so I'd made the mistake of having a total hysterectomy, and my body, which has been so good to me for so long, because I've been hurt a lot riding horses. Yeah. I've been, you know, broken bones, concussions, you know, and the whole gamut. And my body has always healed back beautifully. And when I pulled this trick on it, it really, really got upset with me, and I couldn't metabolize synthetic hormones. So I consistently got very, very sick very quickly, because it just slams you into menopause, and my body went haywire. I was really sick. I had horrible fatigue. I could hardly move, and I'm a real high energy person. And so after I couldn't figure out what to do. So what they did is they tried every kind of hormone possible. And they found that the only way to give me my life back was to put me on 8 times the normal dose of hormone you're supposed to be on, which is horribly dangerous. And they kept saying, and my pharmacist friends would say, look, this is really dangerous. Do you know the risk factors you're putting into play? You know, stroke and breast cancer and blah, blah. And I said, I don't care. I've got my life back again. If I died 10 years early, so be it. I can't live the way I was before. Well, I started ASEA, and I noticed very quickly that I noticed a change in hormones. I could feel something changing, but by that time I knew it wasn't hurting me, and I wasn't sick at all. And I happily called my sponsor and I said, what's going on? And he said, are you still on that really heavy dose of hormones? And I said, yes. And he said, well, I can help you wean off if you want to try to wean off. Well, I tried every year to wean off and I would be sick. I was so sensitive. I would be sick within hours as soon as I tried to cut it down just a tiny bit. And so I said, okay, sure. I was so cocky. I said, yeah, why don't we try it on Wednesday? Because I don't have anything planned Wednesday afternoon and I can afford to be sick in bed. It was ridiculous. I was so sure it wasn't going to work. And so he said, sure, let's try it. And 2 months from the first sip of ASEA, and because I was very chicken hearted and I wouldn't go any quicker than that, I was off all hormone replacement. I was fine. I've never felt better. And that was 12 and a half years ago. But then one of the most important things, which is wonderful, is I've been a very serious headache sufferer, one-sided headaches. I go blind first, then I can't speak, then I have to be in a dark room for 2 days. And I've suffered from that since I was 11 years old. So it has been really debilitating, but only about every 6 to 8 months I'd have a headache. So after about 6 months on ASEA, I thought, when was my last headache? You know, you kind of block those off because you don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
And I have not had a headache in 12 and a half years. And that's after for hundreds of, so
That's amazing.
it's changed my life.
Awesome.
You can tell. Debbie, April, went through your bio and it was so appropriately, spoken in what you've done with this and what we call the quantum financial system, which is becoming abundant, helping other people become abundant. And that's what you so eloquently have done as an ambassador diamond with the company. Can you, I would, if we can go there with you for a minute on that one, because there's a lot of people right now, and we have been big proponents of this, that, it is all about helping people. So that's one thing, but then it's like, well, what are you going to talk about? Right. So this just so happened to really fall in our lap with this crossed our experience, Debbie, about 6 months ago. And it's been a game changer. I mean, we could go through testimonials all day long and everything like that, but the business side for you, and thank you for, again, your service for helping other people too. So you just went right there with it. And I'm sure someone like yourself in the professional career has been seeing all these kind of different opportunities, if you would. What drew you specifically to ASEA and said, hey, this is how I'm going to help not only myself, but I'm going to help others?
Well, for me, it was a total package type of a thing. And I hate to kind of label it that, but it came to me through prayer, literally. I was on my knees the night before. I went to bed that night very upset. And before I got up in the morning ever, the phone rang, and it was a girlfriend from mine from Colorado. And she said, there's been a huge breakthrough, just like the doctor told Beth. And it has saved 3 of my best friends' lives. And I just kind of looked up intuitively and went, thank you. I went downstairs. I watched a video about 3 times about redox, where it's made, what it does. And I was like, wow, this sounds like it's huge. Because I was a math science major to begin with and understood, kind of what it was saying. However, we all want to validate it. So just like Beth, she had a doctor tell her. I went to a molecular biologist who had graduated from Johns Hopkins, and she had done years of research at the National Institutes of Health in the mental division. And I called and I said, I need something verified very quickly, because I needed to know if this was where I was going to put my little extra 20 minutes of time a day. And I didn't have time to check it out. And she said, sure, come on over. I put the information down in front of her. She looked at me and almost fell off her chair. And then I knew something was up. And she said, Debbie, I have been studying these molecules for 12 years. No, 17 years. It was 17. I was listening to Beth. 17 years. And we've had scientists from around the world come to NIH to try to do this. Are you telling me that somebody was finally able to stabilize these molecules outside the human body in a bioactive form? And I looked and went, yes, like not knowing, just like Beth, that this was a huge deal. And she said, you have no idea how massive this is. This will change the medical field as you know it.
Give me chills.
It gave me chills. So I instantly thought, oh my gosh, how many people need to know about this health-wise? But also, this was the only company in the world that had been able to do this. So the opportunity hit it all at the same time. And I was like, holy cow, how was I so lucky to hear about this so early, just like Beth, because this was 12 years ago. And she took a big textbook down. She started flipping through it. Every page was about redox. I was learning and learning and learning from her. And literally she told me, she was the first one to tell me, and it was early on, that the molecules go through the blood-brain barrier. So we were going to have, and she named them, and I won't name them on this to be compliant, but any mental problem, such as Danielle had, would be helped with this immensely. And again, I got chills, and I just said, okay. And the first person I got it on was my mother, who had tremendous results with it, because I was pretty healthy, like Beth. However,
that's inspiring.
Yeah, absolutely. I had worn glasses since I was about 10 or 12. Mom realized I couldn't read a license plate in front of me because I was nearsighted. And I didn't expect it, just like Beth. I was using the product, drinking it, because we didn't have the gel at the time. I was spraying it everywhere, in my eyes, in my nose, everywhere. I eventually looked up to read the menu of the TV for my mother and realized I could now see it and read it without my glasses. I've worn glasses.
How long were you on it? How long were you on it before you got to that point that you were with the glasses?
I guess it was about 2 years. And I don't know if I wasn't aware of it, because, I was looking around. I'd put my glasses on sometimes. I didn't wear them all the time. But I was reaching for my glasses, and I went, Mom, I don't need my glasses to read that. And she almost fell off the sofa then too. But anyway, it was pretty incredible. So that's one of my testimonials. Yeah.
Beth, I want to ask you this, that, for me, one of my favorite things that I've experienced with the ASEA is my intuition. My intuition seems I feel very tapped in, centered, very, very one with my universe, if you would. I imagine that plays a part when you're talking to animals, or when you're dealing with animals. Can you tell me, has this upped your communication at that telepathic level with them, where you have a knowing there of what to do with them? I think I got the answer, but I'll let you. Yeah.
What a refreshing, first I got to tell you what a wonderful and refreshing thing to say. That's, we always have to try to be, you try to be more mainstream, but it is very much an intuitive thing with me. It was an intuitive thing when I picked that bottle up. I got chills when I picked the bottle up. I mean, and I'm not usually not that tuned in, but when I see that, and I know that I had that same kind of like a tune in to the universe, and what it has done. It's a very good question, because I've been working with young horses since I started getting paid to ride when I was 14. So it's been such a process. It is not. It's a wonderful way to make a living. Trust me. My husband and I both been blessed for so long, because we love what we do. But it's become such an intuitive thing for me that I just walk in a stall, and we start just getting to know each other. So, but what it does do is it gives me a wonderful opportunity to help them feel better when something's wrong. Now, I told you I teach equine preschool. I work with very young horses who really they kind of have a full complement of redox molecules on board already still, because they haven't started that aging process. But they're like big 1,000-pound Labrador puppies. They crash into each other, they play hard, they run into the vents, they hurt themselves, and they get snotty noses and, goopy eyes and things like that. And I have been able to, instead of having, one gets a bad cough and then we have to worry about antibiotics, I just start the ASEA and I just use it. And they really feel better. One of the most beautiful things about animals is that there's no placebo effect. So you don't get anybody going, oh, this can't be helping this fast. I don't know. This can't be that stuff. You don't have any of that. They know they feel better. They know something that is something that is hitting their body or going in their body is a good thing. And they respond to it so quickly. And that's an incredibly rewarding thing. And I've heard that from so many animal people regarding so many different species. When you have a beloved pet, some people are closer to their cats and dogs than they are to people.
For
And that's a
sure.
wonderful thing, that you to be able to help your animal feel better in such a natural, such a healthy way, that they come up and start asking, you pick up the bottle and they run up to you and say, oh yay, it's that time again. That's a wonderful thing. So that's really what really floats my boat.
Oh, yeah. Well, they say horses are like one of the, if not probably the most intelligent animals. They are truly intuitive. They're literally God's creatures. But just being around a horse is just the feeling, it's powerful. Their minds, their intellect is incredible. How do you administer ASEA to the animals?
That's another great question, because that's something that we early on experimented with. Because one of the things, when you give a horse anything orally, if you see any kind of medicine or anything that is made to be administered orally, is in a big tube, and it's very viscous, it's very thick and gooey.
Right, exactly.
Because their first reaction is going to go and spit it out. Well, of course, you put it in, you put ASEA in the horse's mouth. If you hold his head up long enough, he's going to get it through the lining of his mouth and all that kind of thing. But the minute you drop it, he's going to spit some out, and that kills my soul. I hate it when any of those molecules are spit out. So we found very early, we started, a friend that lives in Indiana. I had never even met him before, and we started comparing notes. He has completely different discipline in horses, but he said, why don't we try it, because the rectal tissue is as absorbent as the lining of the mouth, and because these molecules don't have to be metabolized, they don't have to go through the digestive system. It doesn't matter what end you put it in, they're going to go and they're going to be absorbed into the body and go wherever they're needed. So, and horses, that's where we do temperatures, that's where you check for pregnancy. Horses, even though it seems kind of squeamish for people, horse people don't have any issues with administering something rectally. So we started giving the horses that way when they needed to have it done. I use it topically a lot, because again, my horses don't usually get sick to that extent. But he started using it. Actually, his horses were draft horses, big, heavy pulling horses, and he did competitions. And he found that when he gave his horses ASEA before a big competition, they would win, or they would pull harder, or they'd perform better. So that was kind of the
steroids, that's for sure.
Exactly. And that was sort of opened everybody's eyes that, and that's when we were hearing more and more from athletes too, saying, whoa, what is this stuff? It's amazing. So we just kind of figured it all out by hook, by rote, and found out that really, if you're going to administer them internally, then through the rectal tissue is the best.
That makes sense. And how much would a horse of that size, like what would be an amount?
Like how much would you take?
Yeah.
Like a syringe kind of thing?
Well, it's not weight specific. So you don't have to say, if we take 4 to 8 ounces, they need a whole bottle. That's not the same. Basically, again, just like people, the more you need it, the more physically impacted you are, the more molecules you need. But on a general basis, we've kind of, the sweet spot seems to be 8 ounces, 4 in the morning and 4 at night. And that's just done through a dose syringe rectally. Wow. And it's a very simple procedure, and it works remarkably. It's really amazing.
Incredible. That's exciting.
It's so interesting how many people won't necessarily use this for themselves, but they'll beeline to get it for their animals, their loved ones. And that in itself is a beautiful thing, though, just because you're that there. Right. Debbie, I want to, if I can, get back to you a bit about, because what we really, it's 2022. It is what it is. I mean, I think it's being very, very clear to people that, they really do need to get a plan B, C, D, and E, and F at this point in time, really, as backup plans. It really is. And there's a lot of conscious entrepreneurs we're working with, and, they're looking for ways, and they just don't always have that. They have maybe the one stream of income. And we really want to appeal, and I hope everybody watching this can really get what I'm saying on this one, the importance of this. But 2022, now you've been doing this for a while now. Here we are, fast forwarding a bit more. How much more important do you think it is now than it was when you jumped in, from your perspective?
Well, I think it was always important. I was a single mom, and there's so many single people out there that you really could use a second stream of income. I mean, if you're married or with somebody, you have two streams usually that come in. And so I think it's very important. But after what we just went through with all this being at home and not being able to get to work and stuff, I think it's critically important that people are now aware of that, and they are working a lot more from home at this point. And this is so easy. Network marketing and next level marketing, which is what we have, which I'm so proud of, is just building relationships, and you can fit that in. As you know, my story, I only had 20 minutes a day, but I just kept calling people and introducing them to this and just saying, I care about you. I just really want you to know about this. And so you can literally do it if you set aside. You know, I've worked with an engineer. I remember a young engineer, and he was just slammed all the time. And I said, if you just set aside 30 minutes a day, let your wife cook dinner, maybe you do the 30 minutes then, and then help her clean up afterwards or whatever. But if you get that 30 minutes in, you'll be so much more ahead of where most people are, because most people postpone and postpone and postpone, and the phone's very heavy or whatever. And I think it's amazing what you guys are doing with your podcast and with social media. I really think it's so much faster now to get out the word about this. You know, Beth and I had to start with, you know, getting next to people or meeting people head on, or, you know, and now you can reach so many more people like what you do. I just wanted to, I know you're Spiritually Raw is a beautiful name, and I don't say this very often, but since you're connected to that, the girlfriend I took this to is a molecular biologist, but she was also very spiritual. And she held that bottle the first night, and she said, you do realize that this is the stuff that will allow our cells to become enlightened.
There's so
And
much I
I
can
just
say
got
about
chills
that.
with that
That's
too.
Oh, I got
incredible.
children
And
today,
I
too.
know that is just
That's such a God
thank
thing,
you.
isn't it? That's such a
Yes.
God thing.
It absolutely is.
Wow.
It absolutely is.
Wow.
So yes, if you can get to people, some people, I think some of the leaders just kind of intuitively knew that this was extremely special and very, very important. You know, one of my goals is to actually change the medical field in the United States. We take way too many drugs comparatively to other people in the world, and we're the chronic sickness of the world, basically. And so that's one of my bigger goals, is to have that happen. But it's very important that people think of a plan B. You never know what's going to be coming. This isn't over, and they're not going to let it be over for a long time, it seems like.
Yeah.
And, you know, to have an extra stream of money coming in, I mean, and for young people, especially if they want to be able to stay home with their children and be able to go to some of the soccer games and everything else they want to do, this is a beautiful way to make a living. You're really helping others, but you can make very good money also. And that's not a conflict at all.
Yes.
So I think it's extremely important. And that's why I got in it. And I've helped a lot of single people, but I've helped just a lot of people now. And it's just been amazing. I know Dr. Ward gave Vertus his first little trunk of thank you notes. I have my own trunk now. It just gives you goosebumps when you hear people tell you what's happened. And I know you've been in for 6 months, you've helped a lot of people already. So you know what I'm talking about.
I get you.
You know,
I get you.
thank you for sharing that. But congratulations. I mean, kudos to you for saving your house in 16 months. That in itself is an extraordinary accomplishment. And so many people can learn from that alone. Congrats on that. Thank you. A few things. We work with intuitives, healers, everything, psychics, mediums. And what we hear over and over and over again, that when we present this or we share our experience with them, that immediately they say, I know intuitively that I'm supposed to get this. They know as soon as they pick it up or hold it in their hands that this is exactly what the universe has sent to them for a very specific reason. Recently, Jay and I did a show, and we titled the show Elixir of the Gods, because we believe with all of our being, that this little blue bottle was channeled from the heavens to very intelligent people that were able to stabilize it. And we believe that this little blue bottle will change and alter all of humanity, because what it's doing is it's raising the vibration of everyone. It's making everyone feel better. And when you feel better, you're happier. And when you feel better and you're happy, you create great abundance and you manifest anything that you could possibly desire. This is going to change the trajectory of humanity.
And in that same note, I once years ago was talking to, his name was Dr. Gary Samuelson. He was one of the big scientists that helped stabilize the molecules. And he had tears in his eyes because so many people had come up to him and just hugged him and said, thank you for, and he said, Debbie, it wasn't me. I got the messages in order
Thank
to,
you.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly.
in order to create and stabilize that. And
There's just no
I-
other explanation. It
Exactly.
had to have been channeled to, you know, the universe looked down and said, okay, you'll understand it, you'll understand it, and you'll understand
You
it.
know, and I'm sure you all hear it.
Ernest is the
And,
same way. Yep.
you know, 6 months into it, if you would, I mean, it's a superhuman effect.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a superhuman effect. You run harder, you play harder, you're smarter, you're tapped in more, your critical thinking, intuition. I mean, all of it seems to connect so much more. It's like that. It's a real limitless effect, and it blows my mind that, you know, we've all, you know, it's like we wait, because I know, like at our show, we interview people about, oh, hey, you know, technology will be here, it'll save us, it'll do this, blah 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 blah.
Med beds are coming.
Med beds are coming like this, and it shows up, and then people, interesting. But it's here right now, and I think that in itself is, like, you know, from our perspective, and it's interesting because you all did it back in 2000 and 2008, was it?
2009, 10.
2009, yeah. We only heard about this twice in the last year, and that's something, you know.
Which is,
And-
I'd love to ask about that, Beth. Why is this been so suppressed? Why, if this is the medical technology breakthrough of our universe, which I believe that it is, why is no one hearing about it?
Well, because we don't have enough people like you and Debbie. I mean, you know, the wonderful people. I did it because it felt good and it felt right. And I have some wonderful spiritual friends who picked that up and said, this is light in a bottle. This is light in a bottle. And I thought, this is just, and really I think the more intuitive you are, the more you pick that up, which again is why animals respond so quickly, because they're so intuitive.
Right.
But then you have people that really honestly are so, I'm surrounded by scientists in my family. I mean, they're the heart. God bless you, Debbie, for wanting to change the medical community. I don't want to have anything to do with them because I'm surrounded by them and it drives me up a wall. But, you know, because they've put so much money and so much time into their conventional education that they cannot open their minds to anything bigger. And of course, we have more and more wonderful, open-minded physicians and healthcare professionals that join us. But really, in general, there's an awful lot of cynicism in our world today. And I think people are cynical, and how many times I've had somebody look away and say, this is crazy. It can't possibly be good doing everything you say it can. So I'm not even going to look at it. I don't want anyone. Okay. All I know is I think it's really going to help you. And it's helped a lot of people with whatever your issue is. I don't know. It's up to you. But people just say, you know, they look into it and say, this can't be doing all of this. Or the more educated you are, my daughter has a PhD in cell biology from Duke. So she and she just said she loves the product. She says, I can't believe this is really redox molecules, but I'm not going to tell anybody because I don't want to ruin my reputation. That is how scientists are. I mean, they're so focused on their really narrow-minded way and narrow a scope of their education that they can't allow anything outside to come in unless they open their hearts. And that's where it comes from. And you get, the more an intellectual a person is, I think the harder it is to connect to your heart.
Yeah.
The one thing that
That's
you
a-
say that I absolutely love, the first time I heard you say it was on Catherine Edwards' show, and this is what I was like, duh, yes. When you're like, animals don't know if it's like they can't tell if it's a placebo. They're not going around to their animals friends and being like, hey, it works, it doesn't work. What do you think is work? They just know that it works. Right. So that in itself says it all right there.
And this works, everybody. It really does. So I want to, well, I want to thank you both for, coming out here today and for your service and dedication of really just, again, helping our existence. So, starting with you, Debbie, if we can you final words to those out there? Why this needs to be a staple in your household? What would your appeal be to them? What would you say to them?
Well, if people would just open their minds, like Beth just said, it also hasn't gotten out because we're not allowed to say everything that it does do. Our hands are tied. So, and I know our founder, our original founder, kept it slow for the protection. He had to build up, he had to go into different countries, he had to get the plant built, and he had to get FDA lawyers to protect us. So he kept it a little slow to begin with. So that's why people are now beginning to understand redox and why you need it. And so that's what we were always training. This is what redox is, and here's why you need it. So people understood vitamins,
Right.
then you could explain why they need it, but they didn't understand redox. And so this is something that everyone needs to know about, because your body, this is one of the things we've learned. We don't know why mitochondria start disappearing at puberty at a rate of 10% per decade. We don't know why that's happening, but we do know that if you take this, you are adding the redox that you are not getting anymore. And we've seen increases in mitochondria by taking this product. So that's like taking years off your age, as Beth said. This does really keep you young and healthy.
Inside and outside.
Inside and outside. And I went to have that tested myself. I was 60 and I had 2 doctors test me, and they both came back and said, you have the insides of a 30-year-old. I don't know what you're doing, but you need to keep this up.
Yeah.
So that's proof in itself, empirical proof. And I've shown that to many doctors. But if people just open their mind and it makes sense. You don't heal half as quickly as you did when you were 5 years old. And if you're adding these, this is what these molecules do. That's why it has to work on everyone, every time, if they take enough of it and take it for long enough.
Yeah.
All right,
Thank
right
you.
on.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep, I'm right there with you on that one. Beth, final words from you?
Well, but first, it's been such a pleasure. Debbie is one of my heroes. I mean, she is so amazing. And I love the story. I love this because I just love the products. I wanted to help people. I thought it was really cool that I had something else to offer besides being able to be with horses. I love horses, but I wasn't really leaving the world a better place except for them, So I was just looking for a way to make people feel better. This was awesome. But Debbie's had such an incredible impact on me personally, and really on our ASEA community at large, because she, number one, has one of the most powerful stories. And, she's kind of making light of it, except that you are getting a picture of the idea that she was waiting tables and going in between on her breaks, 20-minute breaks, and calling people. I mean, and I've heard people say, I don't know if I have enough time to tell people about this. Well, I just say, will you watch this thing by Debbie Wetzler? Don't give me that. So she has been such an inspiration to all of us. I wanted to say that for sure. But honestly, this has become a mission of my heart. I have horses in my DNA. I can never be away from horses. And, it's wonderful because, we say, what is retirement? What's the word retirement mean? Because we do what we love. So of course we're going to keep doing it as long as we can, but God bless ASEA for helping us continue to be healthy, strong. And because horses take a lot of physical energy, a lot. And it's just been an absolute pleasure for us to continue. I have also, the beautiful thing is too, and here I'm 68 and I still get on horses, and I still, when you're riding young horses, they trip and fall. and you go flying. And I have every single time I land on the ground and you take a stock of, okay, is anything broken? I can move my hands, my feet. Yeah. Okay, everything's okay. And you get up and you go, thank you, ASEA. Thank you. Because I know for a fact that I don't break like I used to, and I should. I'm 68 years old, for God's sake.
Your neck looks incredible. Your face looks, first of all, I would never in my life imagine you're 68, but your necks don't lie. That's the first one. Your neck, you have no wrinkles.
Well,
She looks amazing.
Amazing.
And she's at every single trip that we take to help other countries, our advancing life. Beth has been on every single one of them, helping people build schools, helping in Mexico. She's amazing.
You know, the one thing, thank you for saying that, because it makes me think and leads me right into a thought that I have about, forget about the product for a second. Let's just talk about the company real quick. Jay and I, you know, we've always been in sales. We're always, and you know, being on the show, people are always sending us stuff because they want us to promote it or whatever. And we very, very rarely ever do. But, you know, being in sales our entire life, we've been through so many different multi-level companies. You know, we've been to all of the, you know, meeting, you know, where you go in and people, you know, introduce it to you. I have never experienced a company like this. They are so authentic, and everyone truly is here to help everyone else. It's a feeling of not only love, but of just dedication.
It's a God thing.
It's
truly a God thing. Everybody seems like it's like our soul sisters and brothers came together and just boom, here we go.
It's a collective force.
It's true.
It's a collective energy. It's a collective love that everybody all has of the same mindset, that between your story, our story, next story, that collectively we all are saying this product is going to alter humanity. This product needs to be in every household. This product is literally going to change the world. And it's just the product is incredible, but the people behind it are even more incredible, and that is so rare.
That is so rare. So
It is rare.
wow.
I can, if you have a few minutes, just a minute or two, because when I started looking at this, and I just loved the product, I loved the science, I thought it was awesome. And people were starting, I mean, I would say, hey, try this is great. And people were starting to come back and saying, this is amazing. Just like, you know, that's the experience we get. And I've never been in sales. I've never been in corporate America. We've been self-employed. I've been self-employed my whole life. And I just had this innate feeling that I've got to meet the people behind this company, because if I'm going to put my reputation out there, you know, if I'm going to stick my neck out and say, this is great, you know, who are these people? I need to know. And as soon as I met the corporate leaders in this company, I was all in 110%. And I've never looked back, and they have never disappointed me. They're the most wonderful people with more integrity and more kindness and more compassion as a group, but individually, you know, Debbie and I have both gotten to know them all so well and personally, and I consider them like good friends. I could call them if I'm in Salt Lake. I could call them on any one of them on the phone and say, hi, guess what? You know, they're just wonderful, lovely people. And I said, as soon as I saw that, I said, this is my home for life. And I think Debbie's had that same.
You know, it's like this gets you prepared to level up, to go to the next. You know what I mean? It gets you prepared to like, okay, let's now take a look at our life's journey together and who we're supposed to work with and everything like that. So this definitely, I feel, is getting us prepared. And you know, in 6 months, we're noticing dramatic differences, which is why we're out here like this with it. So pretty wild there. So Beth, Debbie, God bless you both for your service.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Much love to you on your health and also your prosperity. Congratulations for that. Thank you for sharing your stories, and thank you everybody for hanging out with us as you always do. Our links will be in the description below if you want any more information on this, and their links for Debbie and Beth will also be there too. So thank you everybody.
Thank you so much.
Great.
Thank you
It was a
both.
pleasure.
Light
Take
and
care.
Thank you. And together we are turning the universal key to global harmony and creating a unified world. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Absolutely.
And remember, tune in often, tell all your friends, and most importantly, may all your beautiful ASEA dreams come true. Many blessings.
Beautiful. Thank you.